Hi everybody, welcome to Social Creates. Today I'm going to be showing you how to accomplish this. I had a few people ask me, so I wanted to put together a relatively easy tutorial. This one is still curing, so I can't take it off my hand yet, but it is super pretty and I did it just in under 2 days and I'm going to show you how, so let's get started. Alright guys, you're ready for me to talk your ears off for 10 minutes? We are going to make a tumbler kind of like this with this template I got off Etsy, but I added a little bit of my own spin on it. So of course I will link the template below so that you guys can buy it and follow this tutorial. This vinyl, the white one, actually has a clear backing, and then I had this black vinyl left over. So we're going to use both of them. If you cut your vinyl into 4 triangles, you'll have pretty much what I have here with that black triangle just left over. So that was just a scrap. So we're going to start out with a 20-ounce skinny straight AF tumbler from Mother Tumbler. There's no taper to these. I love them. And we're going to give it a good coat of white spray paint and then let that dry. All right, guys. So my spray paint ran out. So we're going to use Adhesive Apothecary's new line of pigmented glitter glues. It's a paint primer and pigment all in one. So I am using their white just so I can make sure my tumbler is super white and ready for the heart happy glitter that we're going to use. This works as a glue too, so we get to kind of skip everything else, so it's really nice. This is Heart Happy by PDB Creative Studio. It's my favorite white glitter because it's fine, it lays perfect, it epoxies so smooth, and it is so sparkly. Favorite white glitter literally ever, so I'll make sure I link that below. After you glitter this, you're going to want to let it dry for a few hours or whatever it says on, your adhesive bottle. Now we have to epoxy this 2 times. I'm using Illuminite from Michaels because I ran out of my other epoxy, but I will say that I don't have any complaints, so if I'm ever in a pinch again, I will definitely buy this epoxy and use it again. So you're going to mix that up and then you're going to put 1 coat of epoxy on your tumbler. After that cures, you are most likely going to need a 2nd coat of epoxy so that it is nice and smooth before we lay our vinyl. So as whatever you're doing, just make sure your cup is smooth before we go on to the next step. Alright guys, welcome to Cricut Design Space, literally our favorite thing ever, right? So I'm going to import my template and I'm going to size it. I did 9.6 inches wide and I believe I did about 8 inches high, but you're just going to have to measure your cup, see how tall it is and how tall you're going to need to cut it, and then see how wide it is as well. I actually grabbed a tape measure so that I could show you how to determine what you need to cut yours at. Yours may be different. If you needed to add a 3rd layer of epoxy, you might have to adjust your template a little bit, but mine was 9.6 inches wide. So I'm going to send that to my maker. Gotta connect it because it wasn't turned on. We're gonna lay our clear vinyl down on our mat and we're gonna cut it on premium vinyl settings. That setting worked really well for me, so I'll be right back. Alright guys, now that it's cut, I'm going to trim some of this off so it's a little easier to work with. And when peeling off your backing, make sure you don't grab the template with it, especially if your Cricut did not cut it the whole way through. So this is what I'm left with right now. First, let's take our extra black triangle and trim that down twice. If you are confused on how to do this, you could also just add a triangle to your template in Design Space and cut that with your black floral vinyl. So you don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. It was just an extra scrap that I had left over. So it worked out perfectly. Now for this template, first I'm going to cut my transfer tape so that I'm ready. And I'm going to kind of set that aside. I like to peel off these 2 spots on the template. I didn't want to use all the vinyl. I wanted some white glitter to be able to show through. So these are the 2 parts of the template that I removed before applying it to my tumbler. So now I'm going to put this big piece of transfer tape over it and then I'm going to trim it. I like to trim it completely because I don't like that transfer tape sticking to my tumbler, because for me it makes it a little harder to work with because it sticks down easier and I don't like it. So now I'm going to take a couple minutes and kind of contemplate, where is this going to be straight? How can I line it up? So after I have decided and lined it up, I hold it with one hand. You'll see it here in a second. And I cut a little bit of that white backing off and then I stick it. Then I was like, this is so hard. I'm going to mess it up. So look at what I did here in a second. I cut that down. I cut it. It was so much easier to lay half the template rather than the whole thing at once. And I'm happy I did it because I was getting stressed out trying to line it up. So now let's peel the transfer tape off of that one. And then let's line up the other side. If you're someone who struggles with laying vinyl straight and you want to use this template, I definitely recommend cutting it in half and just doing half at a time because it was so much easier for me. So after I line that up, we can stick that down. It laid so smooth. I was really happy with the results. And let's peel up that transfer tape. Now we're going to take those 2 black triangles that we had left over and we're going to put one on the top of the tumbler and one on the bottom. Obviously, we have a little bit overhanging on the top, but we have a tool that's going to clean that right up, so I'm not worried about it, and you shouldn't be either. We'll do this one on the bottom. All right, this tool I got from Amazon. It is my favorite thing in the whole world. I've went through a few of these, and this is by far my favorite one, so I will definitely link it below for you guys. But it gives clean, straight cuts. My blade is a little dull, so I did have to go around this cup again, but honestly, it's perfect. And I like how there was a little bit of that white glitter showing up there, so 10 out of 10, love how this turned out. And I'm going to do the same exact thing on the bottom as well. You could also use an X-Acto knife, but this tool will just kind of give you those clean cut straight lines, and that is what we all want. Now let's add our vinyl striping. This is Tech Wrap Chrome Vinyl. I had this already cut, but if you were curious, I made a rectangle in Design Space, 11 inches wide and 0.15 inches thick, and I repeated that rectangle like 20 times so that when I cut on my Cricut, I had this whole sheet of striping vinyl to work with. I usually take a day and just cut a bunch of striping vinyl so that I can use it over the course of the next few months. That way I'm not constantly having to pull my Cricut out. But I am just lining this vinyl along all of the vinyl on my tumbler. So anywhere where the pattern floral vinyl meets the glitter, I'm adding these striping lines. And just follow your vinyl because your vinyl lines are straight. So if you just kind of follow those lines, then your striping will be straight as well. I'm not worried about how it meets up in the middle. I cover those up, so I personally am not paying too much attention to if the vinyl is all perfectly matching up in the middle or not. All right, come on, Alyssa. This is where we have that awkward silence, like I should have played music in the background, or I should have sped this up a little faster, but I didn't. So you're either going to get awkward silence from me here in a second, or I'm going to talk to you about rain and stuff, and I'm going to vote the awkward silence. Any day now. I know you guys like when I'm really awkward in my videos, so enjoy. We're almost done though. 2 more pieces. I even did speed this up. This is really sad. Okay, last one. Thank goodness. So I ended up cutting a little circle with that black floral vinyl, and that is what I put over right in the middle to make everything line up. If I had matching floral elements, I would have done that, but I think this is super cute, and it covered up that hot mess in the middle, and I'm obsessed with this. It is so cute. So now let's add our final layer of epoxy. So once again, I'm using the Illuminite. I have no complaints. It was actually a really good epoxy. I'm impressed. And I'm mixing equal parts of part A and part B. I always mix extra because I always have tumblers that could be epoxied. And I'm going in with Cosmic by PDB for a little bit of glitter sparkle. And we are going to put our last layer of epoxy on this. If for some reason after this layer of epoxy it's not smooth, just sand it down a little bit and put another layer on. But other than that, we're going to let this cure for about 10 hours. And then that's it. This whole tumbler was really easy. Take your time. Don't stress. If you use a fine glitter, I think it'll make the whole process that much easier. And here it is after curing for about 5 hours. And that's it. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me below. And thank you.